pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. Go to the line. Chambers?
Here.
Dahl?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
Lindsay?
Here.
Steffes? Here. Basting?
Here. Okay, so we're going to move right into the potential board member interviews and appointment. Candidates will each get 3 minutes, and we will time you, but if you run over a little, don't worry about it. So,
Go in the order on the ballot, so Bush, Heisner, Hintz,
okay,
Jeanette, and Sully.
Andy up first.
Hello, just looking to, get my seat back after a failed opportunity to work with the school. The law required I resign my position. After short thought and a lot of input from community asking me to come back, I decided, it may mean an extra year. I'd like to get my seat back. I think we have a good thing going with the group and the backgrounds we have here. We've kind of hit our stride, and I'd like to be part of that as we continue to move forward with things. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Joni Heisner.
Good evening, gentlemen. As stated, my name is Joni Heisner. My husband and I have a dairy farm just outside of town, and I have 3 daughters who are Mineral Point Elementary School students. My oldest is in 5th grade this year, and then I have twins who are in 3rd grade. I've lived in the Mineral Point School District for about 12 years, so not a native, but I love this town. I love the way, as a town, we embrace our rich heritage and our incredibly awesome traditions, but I also love the way that we have a very vibrant community that's willing to reinvent itself to stay relevant to our changing world. I think I would be a good school board member because I think there's a couple things I can bring to the table. First, I have 15 years of professional experience working in the financial services industry. I have spent time in management positions. I've worked in credit and financial analysis, and I've also done market development work. Through those experiences, I've had the chance to work through some really sensitive employee issues. I've had to lead projects, I've had to navigate challenging circumstances, and at the end of the day, I've been the one responsible for making the difficult decisions. The skills that I earned through those positions, and I say earned because if you've done any of those, you get what I mean when I say earned, would serve me well as a board member. I'd ask you to take that into consideration. I also believe that I would bring a unique perspective to your board. As you may notice, you're a fairly homogenous group, and I think that having a mother's perspective or a woman's perspective may add diversity to thought and create a richer dialogue that will help move the entire district towards the best possible solutions. So I'd like to just finish off with why I want to be a part of the school board. First of all, I have tremendous respect for the work that the board does, and I'd like to be a part of the conversations that are driving our school forward and that are impacting our community. At the end of the day, I want Mineral Point School District to be a great place for my kids to go to school, and I want Mineral Point to remain a great place to raise my family. And so I feel by being a member of the school board, I can serve that purpose. So thank you very much for your consideration, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Deb?
Hello, I'm Deb Hintz. I am a past graduate of Mineral Point, 1975. I was up at the old high school. My experience has been that I've actually served on the Chilton School Board for 12 years. We were involved in doing a building and remodeling project, so we have gone through that process. I have an understanding of that. Over the 12 years, I believe that I brought to our school board up there, I was an advocate for staff, teachers, students, And how I was an advocate was when my other board members would be considering certain circumstances, I would just try to bring a whole different look into it. And because I was a mother and being a woman, they always said that I did bring a whole different aspect back into it. So as far as wanting to be here at Mineral Point, we moved down here 3 years ago. And one of the things I did look into was what was going on with the school board. And you had a pretty good situation going on. You had a good board. It wasn't really a good situation. You had just lost your superintendent and we're trying to get an interim superintendent in. So that was something you had to go through that process. And I was very pleased to see that you had brought in Mitch. One of the things I do know that your superintendent makes your district cohesive. And you've got that going on here. I guess I'm more of a person that if you ask questions, I can reply back. I'm not a really good speaker as far as being able to stand up here and explain why I want to be here because I feel like I'm being selfish. But I would like to serve on your board. I would like to bring my knowledge forward, be able to help you. I do not have kids in the district. Mine are all grown, scattered throughout the universe. But I do care about what happens with kids. I do care about education. I believe that without it, we cannot go forward. Our kids can't go forward. We have to give that to them. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Robert.
Hello, my name is Bob Janetka. I've lived here in Mineral Point for about 4 years now, just over. I have a daughter who's a sophomore, currently in high school, in band and choir, musical theater coming up. I think I could bring I can't bring a gender diversity, of course, but I think I could bring a lot of other kinds of diversity. I worked in human resources for about 20 years in companies large and small. Boeing Company was my largest, and I worked on mergers and integration there, working on integrating new people, new products in your organization. I've worked on things like employee benefits, compensation, hiring, training, and development. All things that I think any board could use a little extra experience in, a little extra work in. In our 4 years here, we've really come to enjoy the schools and appreciate the central role that it plays here. Coming from the Chicagoland area, which I will be watching the Packers later though. Coming from the Chicagoland area, seeing how the school plays a role in a smaller town was really interesting, and one of the reasons we chose Mineral Point when we came up here was the schools. We had tours from Andy, and at this time my daughter was in middle school, so Ms. Dahl took us around and really got a chance to know things there. Now I'm at a point where I'm able to devote more time to volunteering. So I've been doing that at Upland Hills on their hospital foundation. Also volunteering at the free clinic, and depending on enrollment, starting up with the FAST program with the elementary school here in the fall as well. And I just thought I had some good experience that I could work with the board on, and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. As you know, my name is Gary Sullivan. I'm a farmer outside of town. I'm a past graduate, town chairman of Township of Mineral Point. When this position became available, I had a few people come to me, and I've had people in the past ask me to run for school board, and I never knew if I actually wanted to do it or not. And I thought I'd try it and see what happens. I've become, over the past few years, maybe vocal or maybe just more interested in what makes the school run. I've talked to a lot of board members on issues on the phone and whatnot, and I've always said that, if you got so many questions, if you're going to complain or you want to change something, you better get on board and do it. So I thought this is my chance to get on board and see what it's like. I don't know what all goes into the budget for the school, but I'd like to be involved just so I have a better understanding. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, nor probably could I, even if I knew how to. But I know we have a very good education for our kids in this community here, and I don't think anything I would do would challenge that or jeopardize that. But I appreciate the time you guys have given me. Thank you.
Okay. Well, according to policy, we need to, do we have ballots?
We do. Does anybody want to ask anything?
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. Does anybody have any questions for any of the candidates?
Yeah, I do. We asked this last time when we had this kind of same predicament. We asked all of the people applying for the position if they would be interested in running in this next election. Everybody said yes, nobody did. So the same question applies.
You won.
I know, but I ran the following year.
You're the exception there, okay. All right.
I'll be the first to answer. I'm not going to say yes. I'll say at this time, I don't know. As I talked to Mr. Rainwright originally, wanted to know how much time it takes, how many meetings a month. Because at this moment, I'm going to quite a few meetings as it is, so I'm not going to commit to anything at this point in time.
I'd be willing to answer that. Being here tonight is pushing my comfort zone. I believe I have a lot to bring, but this is on the edge of where I'm comfortable. The thought of being in an election, little step further into an unknown territory. I absolutely would not say no, I won't, but I'm not going to sit here tonight and promise you something that I'm not 100% willing to guarantee you either. So I'd like to think that I would have the courage to do that, but I wouldn't guarantee it.
Okay.
Honest answer.
Yes, thank you both for your honesty.
I would say at this point in time, yes, I would run for a school board election if I had to. Or, well, I shouldn't say if I had to, but yes, I will run.
I'd never, I think I'm the last time. Not quite. I had never actually contemplated running for the school board in the past. However, getting a chance to watch it a little more, the YouTube is great for seeing what goes on at the board meetings. I think I would definitely, I would put it more likely than not that I would run. Like everybody else, I'd be afraid to commit to running because you never know what's happening. But I would definitely be more inclined to do so than not.
I would certainly run if I'm elected tonight. I can't guarantee it if not. If I take some communication with the board on we'll have those that want it back to find out if it's a board I want to serve on for. And I think that makes sense.
I should point out it's for 1 year, right?
Until April.
This will only fill the position until April, and whoever gets it will have the opportunity to run in April to finish out the term, which is 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for anybody?
You're going to explain how the process works, Jeff, tonight with...
Well, we'll take our first initial vote, and if nobody gets 4 votes, if 3 people get 2-2-2, for example, then those 3 people will move on, and the other two individuals will be done. Or if it's a 3-1-1-1, 4 people go on, and
Right.
unfortunately, this is our policy, so this is the way we have to do it at this point, until that policy's changed.
So here are the ballots. Please take one, pass it around, and also sign it.
I think it's good for everyone to know too that by board policy, there has to be an option of none of the above on the ballot. So if someone could vote none of the above.
And I would give the ballots back to Joelle.
Okay. One vote for Gary Sullivan. One vote for Andrew Bush. Another vote for Andrew Bush. Another vote for Gary Sullivan. Another vote for Gary Sullivan. And the last ballot, another vote for Andrew Bush.
Okay, we're down to 2.
Correct.
So we will vote again. If somebody wants to change the vote, the winner has to receive a minimum of 4 votes.
One vote for Gary Sullivan. 2 votes for Gary Sullivan. 3 votes for Gary Sullivan. 1 vote for Andrew Bush. 2 votes for Andrew Bush. 1 vote for Gary Sullivan. That is 4 votes for Gary Sullivan.
4 to 2.
Correct.
Okay. Congratulations, Gary. You're going to be on the board until April.
I'll just leave it. I'm going to take this one.
We'll have to leave that way for now. So Gary, if you want to come forward. You sit there, Gary, if you'd like. Gary, I'll need you to repeat the oath of office here.
I understand, having been appointed on November 14, 2019, as a member of the school board of the Mineral Point Unified School District, but not having yet entered upon the duties therefore, hereby certify that I am a citizen of said school district and swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin and faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Okay. You want to sign that? Probably when Angie is back. Okay. Because we need it notarized as well.
The only
Can I
thing is
bring
the
up that it's
date-
not
the date.
November?
It should be October.
We'll get that changed.
We got a month to wait.
Thank you, everybody. So put your names in.
Absolutely.
Okay, board communications received. Has anybody received any communications that they'd like to bring forward?
I have to go with you, I don't have that packet, as I say.
Okay. Yeah, I know this.
You got the agenda.
Joelle, has anybody signed up for this?
No.
Is there anybody in the citizens group that would like to speak?
We have one.
That's me, sorry, I apologize for not putting myself on the agenda, everyone. Just wanted to do a little school board recognition. Last week was school board recognition week, and of course we didn't have a meeting, so I'm a week late. Just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. Just give you a quick heads up with what's been going on with the food service program. Aaron, you'll be very happy. We tried our salad bar last week at the high school, big hit. We had a chef visit at both the high school level and the elementary level, big hit. Both he did a Cuban sandwich at the high school, and then Dave and I went to the apple orchard. We got fresh apples, we took them to the elementary school, he cooked them up, and the kids all did the same thing. And tonight I made you pumpkin apple muffins with those apples from the orchard. So I would like to extend again to you to participate in any of our lunch programs, whether it be at the elementary school or the high school. Just know that I am making the salad bar more available, and we are going to start it for the adult staff at the elementary school. We have done all of the harvest of the months at the elementary school, to jalapenos, to different tastings down there, so they're all up on board there. I've been working very hard with the new staff training, and it seems to be going very well. So whenever you can, here you go, just come in to either school, more than welcome. You can ask Mitch, he was there last week with Chef Dave, it was kind of fun. And he'll be back in the spring, and we'll be doing like a food truck menu with street tacos and that type of menu. And then something cohesive for the elementary schools to join into. And you're here at the high school, so you know. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for working, Nancy.
Okay, approval of the minutes. Somebody like to make a motion.
Congratulations.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
There's a nice one.
Second.
Any comments or corrections, anybody?
Are we approving the regular minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's good.
not the board retreat minutes?
We didn't,
It's on the agenda.
it was just a very short paragraph. didn't have-
Right, there was no action
There was
taken.
nothing.
I do have my notes from the meeting, where we talked about the strategic plan, copies of any data representing progress towards some of the strategic goals, educational goals. I did attach what those areas are, either through academic indicators, things that we're looking at and collecting data on, then post-secondary career, A's, B's, C's, FAFSA completion. We now have an opportunity to capture how many of our families have completed the FAFSA forms for the free online scholarship applications. Then basically attendance, community service hours. This is information that we're gathering that will be indicators, future-ready indicators, college career readiness indicators that we are tracking currently, and we'll be sharing out, bringing back in February. Kind of as once we get through the first semester, we can at least gather the data that we've collected at that point in time and share it out with the board. Where are we? Talked about career opportunities, and then getting a survey out to our recent grads and alumni and trying to get that data back as to how they feel that we're doing. Were they prepared for what was next, whether it was a 2-year school, a 4-year school, career. So those were basically the notes from our board retreat and kind of some goals, collecting that data and sharing that data back out.
With any luck, you'll get a good amount of response back from graduates.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Who made the motion?
Nate made it and Tony second. Let's call the question, please.
Okay. Chambers.
Yes.
Dahl.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yes.
Steffes.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Basting.
Yes. Okay, items for information discussion. Date from Caitlin.
Sit if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I know that when we met last year, there was some questions about my support of students and how I was letting students know that I'm a new supported staff that's available for them. I want to give you an update that I have went into all of the elementary classrooms. Last year I was able to go into all of the elementary classrooms and introduce myself. This year I've done some different lessons in their classrooms at the middle and high school level. At the middle school I went into all of the classrooms last year, and high school level when all of the students were brought together for the Social Awareness Day, I introduced myself then. I've also emailed students out a few times just to remind them and let them know of my hours and how they can contact me if they're wanting to talk with someone. In addition to being available for students as they need, I just put together some of the overall highlights of the different supports that I've been supporting for this upcoming school year. District level, just one of the things that I'm helping is staff have wanted to hear more and learn about mindfulness, and so we're coming together. There's about 20 staff that are working on promoting mindfulness for themselves, and then our hope is that that can directly relate to their support of our students academically and social emotionally. We're meeting monthly and supporting each other through that growth. At the elementary school, a lot of the support that I've been helping with is around creating some different spaces. So we created a sensory hallway for students that need a break. And they can just get a little bit more movement throughout the day. We also have a calming corner for students to just get a break outside of the classroom. In addition, we've created a social emotional learning team that meets monthly where we're working on different themes that we're helping to kind of trickle down to all of the students each month. And we also did start with Hello Week, which was done at the elementary and middle school. And what we did for that was just different activities to promote inclusion. It was a national week, and we just picked some of the activities that we thought would be beneficial at the middle school and elementary as well. The middle school, we've also been working on building community. They've started advisory groups, so a gap that we found was there wasn't a constant check-in point when students were coming into middle school. In elementary school, you have your homeroom teacher. In high school, we do have advisors. In middle school, we were kind of missing that piece. So at the start of the school year, teachers got together and formed groups, and they meet with that same teacher every Monday. Every other week, we do a community building activity. And the opposite weeks, they're doing grade checks, and the teachers are helping to get students to where they need to, where they're falling behind in classes, or if they need to check in extra with the teacher. At the high school, I have helped co-teach a mindfulness enrichment course, and we taught one 3-week course, and we'll be teaching 2 more. I'm doing that with Ms. Gunlap. I've also supported, we got reading and math interventions set up during our RTI time, and I'm going to just be supporting with reviewing the data and making alterations to those groups as needed with the teachers. And I'm supporting something that I'm excited about is our Pointer Alliance group that meets. They changed the date so that I was able to also be available, so they do it on the Fridays that I'm here, and they have some exciting ideas that I'm looking forward to working with them on. Out at Options, I've been supporting our students through mindfulness practices. We've done a little bit of yoga and some meditation. We are also working on some different monthly themes, and I'm helping to develop relationships with some of the students there and providing individual check-ins. Something that I'm going to continue this year is if some of you are parents, you may have seen a parent group survey. I'm interested in trying to help coordinate a group for parents and wanted to get some interest in understanding what parents would be interested in. And I'll probably look to our social emotional learning team to help come up with how that will be organized. Mindfulness opportunities within the classroom. At the middle school and at the elementary school, I've had some teachers ask if I might be able to come in and help with some of those practices to get their students prepared for learning. And I've also been talking with some students and staff about some different mentorships. So largely connecting peers with each other, so older students with some younger students.
Could you tell me how you define mindfulness?
Yeah, so mindfulness is the ability to be in the present moment. So what it's been linked to is it has shown some improvements in memory. It's also shown benefits to social, emotional, and even some physical health. What we're teaching our students is how to just focus on what's happening right now, because our mind can be so busy and can be thinking about something that's going to happen or something that has happened, and it can make it hard for them to really be in the learning environment and hearing what the teacher is saying.
I'm interested in the calming corner. What all is that in the elementary level?
That's at the elementary school. Right now, we have it in kindergarten, second grade, the lower area, because we weren't able to, there was no space that we could use upstairs. It's kind of by the library, and the space has a rug and a beanbag, and there's some different tools that students can use. There's some coloring and some fidgets for them to use, and it's kind of blocked off. The idea is that if a student is having a tough time and they want and need to go someplace other than like a space that maybe has been set up in the classroom already, and they can be trusted to go to this space by themselves, they go there to kind of take a minute. The teacher gives them a timer, and so they know, kind of can gauge how long they should be there, and then they come back, and the hope is that they're feeling more calm and ready to come back in. I am doing some, I'm going to send out questionnaires for students to fill out too, so that we can understand their feelings on how the spaces are being used. Any other questions?
How often do students just come to you on their own? I'm sure it's different from high school to middle school to elementary school.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you keep track of that.
Yeah, so I guess I would say at the elementary school, it's probably less than it is at the middle and high school, just because it's more frequently led by parents and teachers at the elementary school. At the middle and high school level, occasionally I get some emails. That's usually the most frequent way, or if I'm in the classroom, especially for middle school students, they might say, hey, I'd really like to talk with you. That is, those are kind of the routes. I am cautious because unfortunately mental health has a stigma, and so sometimes students don't love to be seen with me.
Right.
So I try to be aware of what works best for them as well.
Right. I mean, is it possible with the time you have to see every student? Just call them in?
Not.
If it's even for 5 minutes?
Probably not, just because the difficulty is with the needs of the students that get brought up. I want to make myself available to everyone if they have a need, but the difficulty is throughout the day, so many things come up, especially in the discussions, or parents bring something to me, and that might take a half or a whole day just to try to follow through and really feel like I've supported that student or family in the way that they need, if that makes sense.
Sure. With the space issue, you're certainly on top of the renovation and your projected space needs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. We're getting more than the orange, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that calm down space is not her office space currently.
Is it accessible for board members?
Yes.
If you want to crawl on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'll be mindful of that.
Do you do anything with the FAST program? I know it was mentioned, but I think it's a wonderful program too.
I agree. Yeah, no, I do not. I know I spoke with Carla about it last year and got to learn a little bit about it, but there was some confidentiality and training stuff as well, and so I haven't been involved in it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they ready?
Oh, the girls are embarrassed because they just came from volleyball practice. Yeah. They said to please make sure you tell them why we're dressed this way.
Hi everybody, we're the Wickham Mineral Point cast, and we'd just like to say thanks to the Excellence in Education Foundation for all the donations, as they've given us new opportunities to broadcast our segment as usual every morning. I think it's given us a lot of new opportunities to just advance our editing skills, and it gives us new opportunities in that field to show what programs like iMovie and Adobe do, and it just shows you what you can do with all those programs and pursue a career maybe in the future with that. And what have you guys done?
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think everybody in the class enjoys it. I mean, the school enjoys it too, and I think it offers a lot of opportunity for everybody else in the class. I mean, we got some kids, working on a website, trying to set that up, writing stories, we're doing the news. Some kids are editing, how to use Photoshop for pictures and stuff. And I think it's a lot of fun for everybody. I think everybody enjoys it.
Yeah, it's a cool new way of learning because it's not just like the teachers teaching us, like we're creating and making our own things, and it's like a fun way of learning.
It's definitely my favorite class this year. For sure.
So this is a social media outlet source for our school. How often is it updated, or how often?
Every morning, yep.
There's something different.
There's no
They produce the
symbolism.
daily news.
There's no symbolism with the road to nowhere, is there? That's what we call it.
Listen, one time I looked at it like, that's my house. They went out there and had their house in the background, so.
The road to nowhere.
Well, I could do this. If I do this website is something that this class, these kids have created. So,
You can see the progress we made from episode 1 all the way to 34.
Basically, announcements used to take place. Janet would do the announcements, or Kelly would do the announcements, and the kids can tell you, we don't listen. They're in the hallway, they're passing. So here's episode 1, all right? And we just had bare bones basic equipment.
They're using photo booth and sitting in front of a computer.
This is Gabe, this is Henry. Our studio and website are still under construction, so stay tuned for daily progress and updates. These are your announcements for Tuesday, August 27th. Last night, the JV football team defeated River Valley 14-12.
Now, Mr. Wainwright, go show them where they're at now.
Okay, so that's episode 1, all right?
Try to get the game day one, can you see that one?
That's episode 26 or
27.
It's 27.
And the cool part about it is they come up with the stuff they do, I'm just shocked. It's not us saying, do this. They come up with let's try this, and they're funny.
I think it's on page 1.
This one they tried to come from ESPN Game Day, so it was homecoming week. So this was kind of on the fly. And then these guys will show up, to their credit, they show up at 6:30 in the morning sometimes.
27.
Down.
Oh, no,
There you go,
right
right
there.
there.
There it is.
Okay, so
Wake up, Merle. Boy, today is Thursday, October 3rd. Today's word of the day, obulus, which is a division symbol in math. Happy birthday today to Maisha Neal, Andre McGlynn, Amy Robinson, Ellie Robinson, and Dakota Miller.
Homecoming parade tonight at 6:15, followed by the pep rally. The middle school cross-country team will compete at Kickapoo today. Runners are dismissed at 1:05. There will be a meeting next Wednesday during RTI in Mr. Cool's room for the 7th and 8th grade.
You might be able to
boys
skip
interested in
to
going
it.
out for middle school.
You go.
So this is Thursday of homecoming.
Yeah.
So
Took me a while.
they finished the regular newscast, and here we are, college game day.
And they have had to blank all this up and figure out how to get the speakers with the sound.
For theme they are.
Seniors taking first, earning 20 points.
And it's pretty cool if you can see over here, the kids with the boom and somebody's with the, and they're figuring it out.
And the freshmen pulled up the reel, but still walked away with 5 points.
After day 3 of homecoming dress-up competition,
The seniors have the lead with 50 points. The sophomores are running with 40 points. The freshmen are still holding on to a third place with 35 points.
And the juniors are in dead last. They really need to amp it up for this last competition, and they're There's still points left to win. Today's color day, you can earn up to 20 points. Float competition, first is worth 50, second 40, third 30, last is 10. Powder puff, first is 20 points, second 15, third 10, last 0. Pep rally, first 20, second 15, third 10, and last 0. Now, it's time for the cruise predictions.
We are the sophomores.
I think it's gonna be tough today, but I think I'm gonna have to go with the juniors. And I'm gonna have to go with the seniors.
So there are other things as well. I mean, I can go to,
You could show them today, like Miss McCoy said.
Wake up, we're on point. Today is Monday, October 14th. Today's word of the day, rasher, a thin slice of bacon. Happy birthday over the weekend to Liliana Ruiz, Karen Riley, AJ Butson, Mason Docknell, Cole Farrell, Mrs. Cerruti, and Tracy Wiegel. Happy birthday today to Ivy Lobinger. Speaking of birthdays, Dwight Eisenhower was also born today in 1890.
Your Reporter Sports News today. Last Friday, the Pointer football team defeated the Darlington Redbirds by a score of 47-16. Will Straka scored 3 rushing touchdowns and Isaac Lindsay had 1 on the grounds. Dominic McVeigh scored 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and another on a kick return. Blaze Waters added a touchdown on a punt return. Next up for the Pointers is a showdown with the Lancaster Flying Arrows for the conference title game this Friday.
The high school cross-country teams competed in the cross-country invite held in Albany on Saturday. The boys varsity placed 3rd as a team. Joey Robinson placed 47th, Abel Lowflower placed 79th, girls varsity placed 6th as a team. Haley Kearns placed 48th, Chloe Oberhauser placed 56th, and Emily Cody placed 81st.
The conference cross-country meet will take place this Thursday.
And all these kids too are on our forensics team, so this is another way for them to practice their public speaking and they can see, where before it's always us saying, you gotta slow down, you have to, and now they can see, okay, yeah. So, I mean, it's been, I think, really fun for all of us. Mr. Burson's in charge of the website stuff. Mrs. McCoy goes into the studio. I'm in the classroom with the layout design, just kind of the bossy, telling people where to go. And then Mrs. McClellan, yep, she's in on it too, and she teaches graphic design and stuff. So the kids are really getting a lot, and we're bringing in speakers.
Yep, starting next week, we hope, yeah.
They also are doing, like, when you're seeing the different backgrounds, they've gone out and shot that film. So they're learning the green screen technology and how to do all of that. A project coming up, everyone is having to do feature stories. So we'll start getting even kids that don't want to be in front of the camera, they may be doing interviews or talking about local interest things and things like that. So it just keeps growing on what it can do.
And the marketing, like, with yearbook, basically that's just begging people for money to help us with the yearbook. But we thought this is a pretty cool opportunity. More people watch this. So when the kids go out, now we're able to sit down and talk about marketing and sales. And I said, all right, when you go out now, if they buy this size of an ad, then we can say, today's announcements were brought to you by, sponsor, so it's in the yearbook plus that. Plus we can put their business on here, so the kids are really thinking of, I don't know, there's a lot of career opportunities that we're showing them that are out there. And I know Mr. Gerson's been really big on getting speakers in for the kids, different sports writers.
Hoping to have somebody from Channel 3 next week if that works out, but a lot of other people are going to come in and speak about specific things. Somebody about a website, somebody about news, maybe somebody about writing articles, because there's articles kids write on this website as well. And write up the football games or write up FFA announcements and all kinds of things. So it's just, there's a lot of opportunities.
We plan on being able to take them on a tour of Channel 15 as well, and they can watch like a 11 o'clock broadcast, I think. They get to watch, so, yeah. So there's a lot of neat things. But we're learning with them, so this has really been a baptismal by fire for all of us. But that's kind of the cool part. We're not bossing them, they're telling us too.
Yeah, they've got a lot of really good ideas, and it's really student-based, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and they're so excited. That's what, they're walking into my room at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they would walk in at 8 right when the bell rang before. And so they're super excited. It's been fun.
So this is an elective right?
Yes.
Is it one quarter or one semester?
It's the year,
It's the
because
whole year,
there's
okay.
another element we brought in. You know how I've always done the music at basketball games? Well, we're teaching them how to, they're gonna get assigned a game, that they have to produce the game, basically. So they're in charge of the music, they're in charge of the getting the programs ready, you know? So we're trying to bring in a lot of different opportunities that they learn career, or
So
even
when
just going to college and being
Yeah,
able
when
to
they
be-
go and apply for a job on campus or just in their community, they can say, I can do this, this, and this, because, and they actually will have evidence of, you know, of their work. It's like a real world audience. It's been really cool.
And
I'm
the
so
only
proud of
schools,
them.
yeah, the only schools that we've seen do this are bigger schools. So it's pretty impressive that we're a little teeny school being able to pull this off. That's what I'm really proud
Yeah.
of. So,
And kind of prejudiced, but I think ours is better than all those.
Yeah, we were looking to, you know, we're always like pushing them, like, oh, I want you to work on this and figure out something. And one night I went searching for other schools to like say, like, let's try to, and then it was like, wait a minute, they should be watching ours. I really couldn't find but a better quality, so.
And a lot of students have access to this equipment, right?
Yes.
Through you to do their own little projects?
So, and that, I know in physical science, they do commercials as a first quarter, an energy source first quarter project. And so when we're talking green screen this year, we're gonna say, if you want, you know, see me, we can get in there, you can use the equipment. And so it'll be interesting to see how that project changes. I know Mrs. Brown in 6th grade has her kids do weather reports. So that's usually in the spring, but as people are finding out about it, I mean, do you guys feel like you could apply it in a different class if you needed to?
and it is neat, like, their interest is this part, but like I said, I have 3 kids in there that they want to cut all the music, like the warm-up music and the editing of it, and they know how to do that better than I do. You know, and then there's the kids that want to do the photography and then the yearbook and then the program. So, I mean, there's so many things that you know, it's not just this. This is the only thing we can show you.
Right.
But it's pretty cool, so thank you for letting us.
Definitely.
Then the website is pointermedia.org, so you can go back and watch those announcements later in the day. You can watch them anywhere. And there's all the news stories on the website as well. There's pointermedia.org.
Yeah, the kids built all of this too,
Yeah.
so.
And they update it on a
Yeah, they
regular
update it,
basis
yes.
and daily. So, like, they're able to do polls, their feature stories.
Who does their makeup?
So are they live on the day? They're live on the day, or they tape them?
They tape that morning.
But we
Tape
edited
first
it.
hour and it shows right before third hour.
Okay.
So we have a really short window to get everything done.
And another thing, if kids miss it, the announcements, they can go here. So everything's there.
The other,
This
I
is
think,
really good.
I think the other thing I would like to point out that they have been working on is this alumni spotlight. And they've gone back with different graduates from Mineral Point High School and what they have accomplished. You know, so when people say, you know, you're just a small town school and nobody from this community ever goes anywhere or does anything, they're starting to find information on alumni and putting it out there as a feature, you know, so they talk about, I don't see,
He's on there's page 2, I think, Mr. Wainwright, because John Painter should be on there.
I don't see a link to page 2, but John Painter is the Mike LaCrone of Northwestern, was there for 40 plus years as their band director. And then you've got David William Hutchinson and Mr. Alfalfa, Lawrence Graber, and things that they found. These people were Mineral Point graduates and went off and did something. And it's like, hey, there's a lot of things to celebrate that are tied directly to Mineral Point. So I think there'll be some more continued features, and as this continues to go along, hopefully people will contact this group, these teachers, myself, and just say, well, hey, what about? And that just gives us another place to turn somebody to do some research on it.
So, yeah, anytime you want to see the green room, it's across, right across the hall too. You're welcome to get in there and look around. The kids will have to show you how to use everything.
So when they're a TV broadcaster one day, you can say you knew them when they showed up in volleyball clothes. Great to meet you.
Okay, let's move on to HSR update.
I'll probably pass around a couple floor plans here as well.
Always tricky to handle here, guys. Take a while.
So I'd like to start off with the agenda. First and foremost, design schedule, just show where we're at and where we're heading. Update on the site planning of latest and greatest in the site planning, and then update on the floor plan. The latest and greatest is being passed around in front of you. And then talk a little bit more about the furniture or potential furniture procurement process. We did touch on it last time, just want to open it up for conversation. And then where we're heading from here.
Sure.
Maybe if I could go to the next page. Alright. So we're about two-thirds of the way through the design schedule. This is a schedule we've been working with from really the beginning. And what this really shows is that we're going incremental steps. Everything does tend to evolve and build on the previous conversations. We're heading through, we're getting deeper and deeper in construction documents. What that really means is that it's becoming more engineering type of conversations. It's much more about making sure that it all works and it all functions properly from a more engineering side. We have about 15 more planned weeks remaining before we send this out to bidding. We are looking to bid this out towards the end of January. That's a great time for bidding climate. It allows for spring construction start. It's when contractors really start looking for work in the spring. That will also allow us to have 2 summer construction time periods, the critical summers. We're fine tuning and refining. We're getting less and less of movement of different program elements around. Really the floor plan, we feel very comfortable. That's getting very much locked in at this point. And we are starting to bring in more of the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing conversations into this. And also refine site planning as well. So a little bit more about the site planning. So this is also in front of me here. So what we're looking at through conversations is we're trying to maximize the amount of green space on the site. It is a tighter urban site and we want to utilize the green space as much as we can. So we're looking at ways to utilize that. One of the conversations has been about how to maybe utilize some of the spaces that maybe aren't good for other things. We do have to have a stormwater retention somewhere on site. DNR requires us to put that in, basically treat the stormwater on the site itself and not make stormwater somebody else's issue. So we're trying to find a good location. One potential location that we're looking at is actually far in the corner. It's basically as far away from students as we can get on the site. The other beauty of that location is the drainage naturally goes that way. And that will be a great location to really have that serving function. We're also looking at ways of maximizing green space for playground in particular. So we actually went as far as trying to reorient the drop-off and also parking lot that we're looking at. And I'll show that a little bit later in the next slide. We're also looking at a possibility of infilling part of this triangle. It is a pretty steep drop as you get into the Oak Savannah, but maybe ways of looking at expanding that out slightly and pick up a little bit of green space as well. One of the other things that we're trying to evolve on the site is have as much traffic flow come from the south. Up in this corner in particular, it's a little bit of a pinch point, bottleneck. We experienced it firsthand, seeing it. And we're trying to pull as many people from the south and make this area drop off and pick up as convenient as we can to try to pull away from so much traffic from that intersection. Maybe the parking lot in the north, really staff an event parking lot only, and really have this become the main drop-off area. And then in front of the facility become visitor stalls as well as potentially handicap stalls through conversations. Last board meeting, you also asked us to look at what possibilities are possible for these 3 properties. So I show a couple images on the side. Really, because it's a relatively tight site, green space is a primary conversation of what's possible there. There is a topography that we can utilize to our advantage. We try to show some images of what's possible to utilize topography in a more strategic way. So what we're looking at is maybe an outdoor amphitheater or outdoor classroom type of space, maybe built in. We are having to have some more play space for the Gaga Ball as well within there. Maybe even some play space in natural parks. Really utilizing, here's some examples of built up landscapes. Here you have the topography to really work with and really utilize that topography in a more strategic way.
But an interesting point about all of these things, the reconfiguring of the parking lot, for instance, works much better with the existing contours. So we're able to make that a little more efficient. On the second to last photograph there, you see there was a man-made hill that was incorporated as part of a playground area, green space area. Here we don't have to do that. We want to take advantage of what the existing contours offer. So those are huge advantages to not only the amenities of the site, but also the economics of actually doing it.
Yeah. So while, leveling off the site, bringing in a lot of fill could be an option, we think actually utilizing topography in a more strategic way can also be a more viable option.
And less expensive, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
The economics of it.
So this is a little bit of enlargement of that drop-off and pickup area. What we're able to utilize is utilize the topography a little bit better. We're moving the access drive a little bit further south. That promotes more access from the south and it has a better connection there. It also gives a better connection then to the main door.
With this herringbone, is there a drive around it?
Yep, so that's wide enough to actually be a large enough drive within there.
For what size vehicle?
It'd be two vehicles could actually pass, so that's 24 feet wide. One car can be parking, they usually will stripe the outer lane of that to allow for parking and then the drive aisle around that and circulation. This configuration really lends itself to being a one-way loop around there.
Oh, okay. And you'd have obviously arrows that.
Correct.
Yep. So,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and it works, we actually took a tour of Dodgeville.
Very similar to Dodgeville, it's almost
Very
identical,
similar.
isn't it?
A little different, but yeah.
Except it's flipped.
Yep.
Correct.
So, but the flow of traffic within there, and really utilizing the space that we have. The main purpose of this is not only for safe and secure entry, but really maximize the green space that the flat space.
So then, is there a drain there at the bottom of that parking lot, the way that slope that goes down to the retention pond?
So this will naturally drain and utilize the existing topography for drainage.
It won't be a river at any time? No.
Because it basically distributes at that
Okay,
point. So we will have some storm drains or storm sewer going around to the north in particular to divert the water around the building. But really this will be more natural draining at that point.
Okay. Because that's a lot of surface runoff when you think of it.
Right.
With the building, the parking lot, it's almost creating like a funnel down to the bottom there.
It absolutely is. And there'll be overflows within there. Right now, all the water basically goes there. So in event of a large rain event, it's meant to handle some of that.
How about the city sewerage down through there? Where is there, do you know where
There's
spots are?
there's storm basically
storm drains.
on both, and we'll look to tie into those. A lot of times we can't necessarily tie into those.
Gotcha, okay.
Any more than they currently are, so we can offset it.
Yeah.
So by looking at this, I assume a lot of the water is gonna come on this side here, between the street and the parking lot.
It's not necessarily funneled like that, it's more of a natural. It does work its way into this area. So what we're really doing now is, we have a potential location. If we all seem like that's a good location, then we'll really do the engineering behind it.
Yeah.
The depth, what potential size and capacity that will have.
Like in the, in the morning, the traffic is scattered out. So parents will drive up, drop a child off and pull out just like it is now. In the afternoon, do you envision a pickup lane where there will be a line of cars on that outer perimeter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do anticipate that cars will be parked. So we encourage the first car to go all the way through and then just keep lining that up. And usually this will get full. And then you also have the option to park within
inside. Okay.
So because it's not a shared playground space, you'll have the option to utilize that for a driving parking lot.
And just a question, that northeast corner there is currently blacktop right now. What do you envision in there, Tim?
Are you talking?
Outside, there you go.
Right there. So what we're not showing there yet is how we get sidewalk access to the main door. So a lot of that will be taken up with that as well.
There's a lot of engineering that doesn't happen here yet, but the concept is very simple.
Which is, on our radar too.
Yeah, it happens much. Correct.
Okay. How far south is that driveway now than before?
For comparison, currently it's about right here.
Another 30, 40 feet.
So since last time you've seen the layout, just want to give a snapshot of some of the latest conversations. We've been having quite a few conversations to refine the programming. One of them in particular was location of pre-K. Our previous plan showed pre-K on the second level in the current location that it was. We had some good conversations, and what we landed with was putting pre-K in the current kindergarten classrooms. So putting pre-K right here, we reconfigured the restrooms to have one restroom access from the outside, one restroom from the inside. Pre-K ideally would have a dedicated restroom, and we're able to achieve that. And then we have 3 kindergarten classrooms adjacent to them. Because the location, we felt it warranted a pre-K, K cubby location as well. And we can show some views of that as well. Really being a little bit better supervision, and those cubbies are low so you can see over them. They tend to perform very well for that application. In the existing pre-K room, on the second level will show, but we broke those up into second grade classrooms and add some storage as well. And then we added the restroom that I talked about in the second level. We showed 2 second grade classrooms within the existing pre-K, added a storage room, also a storage and copy room as well within there. We've heard time and time again that storage is a primary need of this facility. We can't disagree. So we want to have as many opportunities as we can while having still the classroom sizes be appropriate. So this does split up the second grade classroom configuration. So currently there's 1 second grade classroom here, 1 here, and then the third one is on the lower level within there. And basically that's because our building footprint is as big as we can make it. It's still achieved the budget goals that are established for this project. And so through conversations, we strategically placed in this location with direct access to the stairwell, so we promote that connection. But that was one of the trade-offs that we were discussing.
The second grade teachers were very comfortable with that as we talked with them.
On the second level, why do you have that open to below? Why wouldn't you have a corridor there? I don't understand why you're omitting that space, yeah. Why make that open?
So what we're trying to do is get as much natural light, because we have daylighting from above or skylight going this entire length.
Yeah.
We want that to funnel down to those lower classrooms.
Oh, I see, through that level, okay.
So it's a 2-story high volume of space, really giving the natural light and also just the connection to the overall facility, similar to how this cutout.
Could it be a mesh catwalk, like we saw over there at Barnabelle?
It'll be a similar.
It'll feel similar, a little wider, quite a bit wider.
Quite a bit wider.
This wants to be more of an occupied catwalk, so we're calling it more of a loft type of space, but very similar type of feel.
Like we saw at Barnabelle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Within it.
Okay.
So we have the storage space. We also, through conversations, added a reading specialist space as well. So we're trying to accomplish as many goals within the square footage that we have to work with.
I want to add one comment too, that this is from the teachers, I talked to several of them. They would like it if you could have the meetings when they could be there. Apparently that like at 3 o'clock, I wasn't there at the meeting, but they said if we could have it before school, after school, lunchtime, it would work better. Then I guess it's been at an awkward time. So a number of them feel like they can't be there. So I don't know if you've heard that complaint?
We have, we actually had a meeting in our last time frame to
good.
make it more available to more staff.
Because I asked them how it went, and that was one of the things they said was distinctly a disadvantage for them, so.
So you heard that from
Just a question I have, and maybe this is discussed before this school board at the last meeting, so forgive me if it has been. You got special ed in the upper level, and you got 1 second grade in the lower level. Is there any reason special ed couldn't be at the lower level, so you would have all second grade together.
It's actually through conversations that they wanted to separate the special ed, one each level as well. And the square footages, so we have special ed currently on the second level within this space, as well as the lower level within this space. So a little different needs, but they really want them, correct. So special ed within there. So part of it was just the location, that they wanted it really split up, and we would see that as a good thing. And also just the square footage that's required for regular classroom versus special ed space. There's a little bit different needs within those two types of spaces. Any other questions on the?
And I also would add, the teacher said you are listening to them, though, the ones that they did say that.
No, it's been a great conversation. They really find this, and I think we're really at the point where we're trying to, capture as many of those needs as we can. And keep the planning going forward.
There were, at one forum, there were some questions about the size of the gymnasium, whether it was, optimum or ideal given the needs and the space available. I don't know if you remember that, Brad, talking about maybe widening that gym out to the north, several feet or whatever, to have like 2 full-size side courts. Was that issue kind of looked at and resolved as best you could?
So we did look at it. So currently what we have, it's actually noted on the plan here, is we have our full-size main court. So it's 50 by 84 main court. Our 2 cross courts are 50, so full width, but they're about 74 feet in length. So they're 10 feet shorter than a regulation size. I can say from an elementary standpoint, that's a fairly good sized gym that can be utilized. We did look at expanding that to the north, and unfortunately, we're going to hit solid bedrock. We're already going to be hitting rock going into that, and it's going to become cost prohibitive to really move that wall.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a reason they can't be full-size courts? Enough room?
We don't, yeah, it would increase it by another 10 feet plus your clearances around the court. So basically, we would have to, we would not be able to build in that location with that size, with the bedrock.
Was the referendum put to public with the full-size courts? Was that not discussed at the time?
The half courts, I don't know that it was.
I don't think that was.
Yeah, remember this is an elementary gym.
Right.
This is very huge for an elementary gym.
Yes.
So this is about 3 times bigger than your current gym.
The front entrance, so you're gonna put up a new entry canopy with a sidewalk coming down to the parking lot, okay? Will there be any other, anything added down there to identify that as
the entry? Yeah, we almost see this as more of a plaza development, rather than just a sidewalk from a parking lot.
Will you guys draw that up before?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll get to that. That's part of that engineering piece.
Sure.
Larry, that we need to really start to sink our teeth into, and we have to have a floor plan nailed down before we can sink our teeth into that.
I understand that, yeah, because I hope we can enhance.
We do want to enhance that. That's a major goal that we have, is to try to really, take a good look at that front entryway and make it easy for folks to get there, make it obvious where it is, and then make it safe. So, and look good. Okay, good question, Joe.
This is a minute comment, but since I'm here, and since I know you're working with the city on the street and things like that, I'm not sure that there's any signage in town on how to get to the elementary school. Either from Dodge Street, Ridge Street, or, if you have visitors coming into town, I don't think I would be able to find elementary school.
Okay.
I mean, and that might be a city issue as far as putting a sign up somewhere on
But we can have some
Drag.
suggestions for that.
But if you're having those conversations, I think when we're talking signage, you just remember that it's not an easy school to find.
I would agree. I take a different route every time I come.
Especially when they're doing the construction on the
Yes,
street.
exactly. Go off-roading.
Yeah.
Especially, I think a lot of it has to do with where the parking lot is too. it's, you know, it's a difficult parking lot to access right now. And I think by moving the parking lot to the south, it'll become more recognizable.
You know, and that's what, Fifth Street down at the bottom there?
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, maybe as part of encouraging flow, maybe you could put a good sized sign on the corner of Fifth Street up at the top on Ridge there to kind of see, okay, this is where I turn to get to elementary school, and then it kind of, people can maybe start mentally talking about flow.
that at the last meeting during almost like parent orientation.
Right.
They'll get directions how to access traffic flow.
Right.
The parking lot.
Was there any discussion on cameras?
So that's really the next, probably, you know, upcoming here. So that's through our electrical engineer that we'll be having those type of conversations. But yes, we are well aware that we'll have a series of cameras for this type of building.
That's another 3-month discussion.
Yeah. No, it is an important part of the conversation. Any other questions, comments?
We're moving forward nicely, I'd say.
Yep.
Very nicely.
So we're right where we want to be. It's a matter of just keep going forward with these conversations as well.
Is there a slowdown in school construction now, or is it still full blast across the state, or?
Well, it's slower up in our area. It hasn't slowed down much around here. But that could change in a few months, who knows? Time will tell.
I just wondered what the kind of general picture of the state was.
Yeah.
It's mixed.
So maybe we'll pull some contractors from the cross area down here.
So yeah, it varies greatly.
Do you guys want us to put on our next agenda that we are in agreement with what you've done so far and to move forward?
That'd be great.
For board level?
Kind of an approval.
I mean, honestly, you've already made so many changes through requests, and I think we need to start moving this process.
That would be
I don't
wonderful.
think we want to get,
Very appropriate to do that.
okay, we'll put it on next agenda. Thank you, gentlemen. Does anybody else have any other questions for these?
Yep.
Is there more?
Yeah, I did also want to thank, so last time we talked a little bit about potential for furniture procurement process. The reason we really want to talk about this stage is the close alignment between furniture and the spaces themselves. And really trying to maximize that opportunity as much as we can. And not have the furniture be really afterthought, but be more strategically designed while we're designing the spaces. So one process that we've gone through successfully is actually bring on a furniture vendor, somebody that really specializes in this area, bring them on up front, establish a budget that they work with, and then we can establish the quality, we can get samples through that process, really bringing them in up front as more of a strategic partner, rather than just going through a bidding process and get the lowest cost furniture. Furniture is one thing, you definitely get what you pay for, and this process lends itself to a better quality control over the end. So there's people, there's vendors that specialize in this area, and we recommend that we go through a process to bring somebody on board with your approval through this. So last thing is we're allocating approximately about 2/3 of the budget towards the new spaces, or through the spaces that aren't currently maybe as utilized. So some of the collaboration areas, some of the flexible spaces, library and media center is going to be a big chunk of that as well. We also like to have furniture be a little more flexible, especially budgetarily. Though we have a project contingency, any project of the size would have a project contingency. Towards the end of the project, if there's funds available, this could be another avenue to invest more in potential furniture. It's a way to fine tune the budget as.
This process also gives the ability for us to connect more with the staff, to really cater and hone in on some of their suggestions and desires too.
Do these individuals look at our existing furniture to see if they would, you know, because I don't want to get railroaded like, oh, boy, we gotta have all new stuff. No, I just don't feel that way.
And we don't feel that way either.
Okay.
And that's why we established the budget goals. Actually, part of the RFP requires them to do inventory of what's currently there. What we see is they take the inventory, and then sometimes we repurpose. So it's a matter of changing out a caster or change out the tabletop. We routinely do go through that process.
I see. Thanks.
It's making the furniture more cohesive. and really integrate more into the design. And some of the examples, both Dodge and Barnwell, we went through a very similar process there.
So you remember you guys are on tape for that because Dr. Lindsay beat me to the
Sure.
question. Well, I have a real problem spending a lot of money
Yeah.
on furniture when we already have a large
Yeah, we
amount.
got a lot of-
And we've been buying a lot of furniture down there in the last few years, so.
We have a little more building to fill though, so
Well, and
we'll need to,
it's not that I'm not in favor of spending money on the furniture, but it's like, to me, that it needs to be put in place. But I also don't want to spend it in case you need more money to make sure we get everything else that we want.
So that's a good starting point, a budget. By no means is that enough to outfit the entire facility in that budget.
Is there any other questions for these gentlemen?
So, next steps, so we just talked about the layout established, much more engineering type of discussions. If you've been at the last couple of meetings, Kylie has been doing our interior finishes and colors, really our interior designing, civil engineering, and we're on track to release this in January.
Did I hear blues?
We do have a blue color schemes with some accents within there as well.
That's gotta be better than the orange.
it's gotta be better than the orange.
I'm gonna get slammed for that one, but that's okay.
The picture on the right is Barneville, is that LVT?
That is LVT.
So that's basically the vinyl floor, it looks like wood planks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dodgeville Library is carpet, so it's not necessarily carpet squares, but
Carpet planks, basically.
basically kind of a similar thought. So if something wears out or gets stained, it can easily be removed and replaced. And that was some of the materials that they brought a couple times now to meet with staff members and kind of show some thoughts and possibilities.
So probably our next meeting, we'll bring in a color board of some of the selections that we're looking at as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks again for making.
Thank you, guys.
I do have a question on the playground area. With that design of, and repositioning of the parking lot, are we gonna lose playground area if we do not purchase that land?
If we don't work or
I guess
orient it this way.
Yeah, I guess where was the existing, as far as the green space?
Yeah, it's about right in here.
It is.
Takes that space.
All right.
What this is gonna do is help enhance the entryway a little bit, with more plaza type space. And it's certainly gonna be less expensive to build because it's working with the contours a little better.
All right.
We are losing some hard surface play around the
With,
building.
the existing parking lot,
With
of
the
course,
building
yeah.
itself, so we are, repurposing those areas. We are looking to expand this slightly to the south. If we were to expand this, full disclosure is infilling an area, there's expense to infill that area, make that area flat as well.
Right, that's this chunk in here.
Yep, so infilling some of those
Exactly right.
areas. So
How much fill do you think we'll have from that gym area out of that hillside?
there will be some, the question is usable fill. And fill that we can compact down, it's gonna be pretty rock fill. So that's not necessarily as usable fill as we would like within there. Getting that fill to be clean, clean enough for that use can be expensive.
Maybe we can do some nice stone fireplaces or something throughout the building and all that stuff.
So they'll chip it out, so the chippers out here, there's no doubt, we know there's bedrock here, pretty close to the surface, especially when we get closer up to the hillside. So there's conversations, within that as well.
We can create a stone bench.
So there is no plan yet for replacing the hard play space other than
We are-
maybe infilling that?
So we're replacing it close to the building itself. There's an area right next to the building that we're currently looking to expand the hard surface play area. We want that.
Pea gravel
Pea gravel
area
area.
section on the west
On
side.
the west side, okay.
Yep, we're looking to infill that. It's not as rectangular as what's currently there, but it's a space there. But we are utilizing more of the site now with more of the building, so there's no doubt about that.
It'll help with supervision, because you're farther away from the road, it's a little more contained.
Right.
I would say right now, it wraps around like a U shape, the playground, kind of going around there. Now it'll be easily supervised, because it'll be in one area. But I've never heard that there's too much green space or too much hard surface. I mean, it's very important to have those type of spaces for this type of facility.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, budget update.
So if we look at
Safe travels.
comparisons, where we were at the end of September a year ago in 2018, it spent about just under 20% of our budget, or we spent $2.29 million for the month of September. If we go to September, in a budget comparison, just over 22.56%. So very close as to how we were spending the money and when we were spending the money a year ago to this current year. And again, this is one of those things that R.W. Baird has talked about, making sure that we continue to do these kinds of things and show comparisons from last year to this year where we are budget-wise, so you have a pretty good idea where we are budget from start of the year to end of the year as well. It's something that is beneficial for us. It also is one of those things that kind of help us get the bond rating that we did going into that budget. It's just basically good business practice to share that information going forward. So basically, kind of where we are on a month to month.
That's good. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's move into the enrollment update.
So we have third Friday count and kind of showing where we have come from. So the third Friday count, 2 years ago, 17-18, we had 724 students. A year ago, 759, and this year, 763. And Elaine, this represents butts and seats, is that correct?
Butts and seats.
Okay, that great term.
Yeah.
So this is the number where a preschool child counts as a full preschool child, and an early childhood counts as a full early child. So this is the number of students that walk in our doors. Okay? So our enrollment numbers up slightly. Our open enrollment numbers are down a little bit, but our open enrollment numbers are down because we've had some of those students move into the district. Then what you look at, this 691, this is our actual student count for the DPI. So you see we get preschool special education, that young man or young woman that walks in our door, that it's a full body, you only get a half. And the same thing for our 4K students. We get 60% of those students. So when you talk about the butts in the seat, that's the number of bodies in our building. But when you talk about how we get state aid sent to us, state aid is based on the 691. Now it will be summer school numbers put into that, and then a 3-year rolling average. So we won't necessarily be getting aid on 691 students. They'll look at what is the last 3 years and combine that, and that will be our student enrollment financial aid from the state based on that particular number. But this is the number that, part of that number that we'll be reporting to the state is 691 plus a portion of our summer school students.
What was the 691 last year? Was it the 709?
686.
680.
Yep, and that was with summer school.
That was with.
Yeah, this 691 does not have summer school in it.
Where's the 686 at?
Different
It's in
page.
residence industry.
Yeah, go back one page.
For 18. All right.
And then on the bottom right.
One thing I never understand mentioned is we've got like 85 students moving out, and I thought it was like 40-some coming in, or...
The other way around.
Maybe I got the other way around. Do you ever look at why some of the kids are going out of district? I mean, I'm just curious as to...
We do look at that from time to time. Some of it is mom and or dad works in that school district, or it's just easier for me because I don't have daycare here, and if I take my child to a school district closer to where I work, it makes it easier for me to pick them up. And some of it sometimes is course offerings or even some athletic offerings. I know we lost a student a little while ago.
Virtual school.
Yeah,
is a
virtual
big
school,
one.
yeah. We lost somebody because we don't have a swim team here, and that was one of the sports that they wanted to be a part of, and mom or dad drove in a direction with a school district that had swim teams, so they just open and enrolled there. And when you look at our budget numbers, we tend to keep those numbers pretty flat. We try to be pretty conservative where we are. Our open enrollment out has dropped slightly, and our open enrollment in has increased slightly compared to the numbers that we put on the budget sheets when we look at a comparison from year to year.
The reason I ask that is it might be an area of improvement if some are opting out for not, athletics or something. Maybe if there's some unhappiness, it doesn't mean that we're not doing a good job at the perception. I'm just thinking if there's some that are opting out for reasons that we might be able to address, that they should be looked at, perhaps.
We can certainly do
Let's
that.
build an indoor pool and have a swim pool.
Sure, well, I tried to get the hospital to do that.
The last time we surveyed though, it came back that the majority was because parents work someplace else and it was easier for them to take the kids with them and bring back. That was the majority, but that may have changed.
I just thought, well, maybe there's some way to improve something there, so.
No, it's a great point. I mean, it'd be nice to have, zero.
Zero out, zero leaks. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that the number of students that live in the district that have enrolled is up by, I think, 12 from last year. So that's good. And then the total number of eligible kids in the district that live in the district is up. So that means just the number of potential kids enrolling in Mineral Point that live in the district is growing up a little bit.
How do we handle the Amish too?
We've not had any Amish students.
Technically, they're homeschooled.
Well, I understand it, but Platteville had a deal where they were actually getting some numbers at one time because they were assisting them with education.
My knowledge, we only have one
One Amish family,
family.
right?
And
Right.
they use the public schools for, if they have children with disabilities, they'll enroll them in public schools, but I haven't had experience with them attending for the general population students.
Are you familiar with Platteville?
Yeah, I've worked with 4 families, and one in Platteville had 2 of them, so.
What's interesting too is if you look at this year's 12th grade, it's a very small class. Or you look at the kindergarten class and the first grade class, it's about equal. So next year's kindergarten class, if we maintain that upper 40 range, that's where it's really going to hurt us because our juniors, when they graduate, will be losing 10 if it stays the same.
That happens every year, that our graduating class is bigger than the incoming 4-year-olds. Those are and so we have to get other kids, otherwise our enrollment would be declining.
Right. I mean,
this year, for instance, what did I say? I enrolled 30-some kids into the elementary school.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of them were 4-year-olds.
And I think, and I'm just I have this information, but, and like 6 middle schoolers and 15 high schoolers. That's how many new students came in. But they had to replace the outgoing seniors, and so it looks like our enrollment should be really increasing, but just because, we don't have as many little people to replace the older kids.
I think we were mid-50s in the graduating class, and you bring in a 40.
So you got 15 kids to make up for right there.
Right. And you're bringing in 60% of your 40.
right. Or the 10th and 11th graders are both 60, and once they roll out, and we're only bringing in 48.
So really, I mean, if you look at it, we are doing a good job of increasing in other, bringing in new students, having kids move here to our area, and
Any other comments? Move on to items for action, approval of the budget.
So what you have is the full budget report. So if we look down, here's the notice of the hearing, here's where we are, and right out of the gate, this information is not 100% accurate because Marcia used the available information that she had at the time based on what the state was reporting out. So we had an idea of what the equalized value was going to potentially be, but without getting a report, we kept it flat. We knew what the tax levy was going to be, so the projected mill rate based on this information was going to come in at 12.65. We do know the DPI released the equalized values, and that's at $377,129,693. So with that information, we know the mill rate will be $12.17 per thousand. We still have one other opportunity for additional equalized aid, but the DPI, the state won't release that until tomorrow. So if we do pick up a little bit more state aid, because there's been talk about, you know, some additional aid in some different places, that mill rate will come down a little bit more. So originally we were looking at the mill rate going up $2.52 based on conservative projections, you know, 4% on the bond rates, equalized value maybe only being 2%, and with the things that have changed, we're basically coming in at about 79 cents higher from last year to this year. So while it's still an increase, it's a very minor increase compared to what the projections were going into all our referendum meetings a year ago. So then we have the budget comparison from a year ago to this current year. And you can see that we have a balanced budget. I've been trying to share with you all along that we are looking at a truly balanced budget, not just on paper, but that there has been money set aside for some of the things that you've talked about as a goal. So career opportunities, money has been set aside for opportunities to schedule additional career opportunities. One of the things that Nate had shared with me was an opportunity at Southwest Tech that Fenimore was going to, and it's like, well, heck, let's get in on that. And then we found out it was only for Fenimore schools. So I talked to Mr. Austin about trying to arrange something for the Mineral Point School District. So we're trying to work something out with Southwest Tech to allow a Mineral Point Day down at Southwest Tech to talk about careers and explore what are some possibilities through their programming opportunities. So we put money aside for some of that information, or for some of those opportunities. Some of the things we did a year ago, we took $100,000 out of capital maintenance projects and used fund balance for those needs. This budget has replaced that money. So there's an increase in some of the capital maintenance and some of the other areas. We have the monies available to put it in there, so we're not looking at using any fund balance monies. We have some additional capital projects that we've done. You approved the Chromebook purchases. That's in this. That was paid for. Those monies were there. And I would look at, get down to the, so you see that our revenues match our expenses. Currently we're not hoping for a good year. We're not hoping for positive things to happen in the school district to make sure that it's balanced. This budget is balanced. You look at the property tax levy, this $3,984,000. we're waiting on that last piece of state aid, and if that comes in, that number may drop, because everything that you get needs to be offset with less in the property taxes. So if the state provides more, then it's offset in less property taxes. So that's where we would end up seeing a reduction in the levy that we would be charging folks.
I think, Mitch, the one thing to be clear is the what do you want to call it? The mill rate is reflecting the school's portion.
Correct.
What we're not talking about at all here is the new jail, whenever that's going to happen, all these other things, and the money goes to Southwest
Tech,
and all
you get
those.
Iowa County,
So that everybody
the
understands
city.
that. And we're kind of holding the line, actually, but it, you know, the rest of it may be out of our control.
Correct.
Yeah.
The new city garage and police station will impact city property taxes. If Iowa County does do something with the jail, that your county taxes will go up.
Right.
And then Southwest Tech.
Because that was a fear we heard during this referendum, that look at all these things that are going to be happening, and we're going to raise the mill rate outrageously, and actually, this shows that it's not.
Correct.
At least from the school standpoint.
Correct. Yes. And this is $10 million in borrowing, $350,000 operating, and all of that is in this budget. So, feel very, very good about where we are. Feel very fortunate that good things happened, that the interest rate was able to come in as low as it was, and that property values went up a little bit more than the conservative estimate, which, as a taxpayer, if my property value goes up, yeah, my taxes are going to go up. But again, to your point, Dr. Lindsay, that the school's portion is much lower than what we were originally projecting when we went to all the referendum meetings.
When will you know about the final state? You might say settlement, or when they're going to, do they have an announcement date when they're going to let us know?
It's, I believe from them, it's on or before October 15th.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
So we haven't hit the before stage.
Pretty quick here.
So I'm hoping
Okay.
tomorrow sometime.
Is that legislated that it has to be done by then?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we'll find out tomorrow.
So then, it kind of a breakdown. These next pages basically break down this information: property taxes, open enrollment, tuition, categorical aid. That's what these then kind of break down. Where's our fund balance at? Okay, what kind of revenue do we have? What is our budget? Where are we? So it's a combination. It just kind of separates those numbers out a little bit more. So, looking at special project funds, that would be Fund 21 or Fund 27. 27 is our special education fund. Debt service, basically our referendum debt, so some of the numbers, why it's quite a bit different there. It's our referendum debt that is now in there. And then because of, lost my cursor, because of the referendum, then our capital project, that's the addition remodel building. So that's why that number looks so much different this year compared to, so 1920 is $10,746,000 compared to $994,000. That's the addition remodel. Continuing on, food services, Fund 50. Community Service Fund, that's the Fund 80. This dollar amount has the weekend maintenance position rolled into it. We're not having a whole lot of luck right now, but that money is there. We've continued to post. It should be another posting in the Democrat this week, hopefully finding someone. And then look through the so basically what our increase is, 3.69% proposed property tax levy. Again, this number may drop based on that additional state aid, but based on the numbers that we had at the time of putting this together. we're looking at this information being at 11.66%. So again, if we get more state aid, then these numbers, that number would drop down. We have a balanced budget in your board packet, then it kind of breaks out some of the areas that either have increases or decreases, starting on page 37. So if you have any questions, starting here, I would be happy to try to answer them for you. I feel very comfortable in this budget. It will meet the needs that we have, address educational needs, and like I said, I'm happy that it's balanced.
Mitch, there was things that we were we pruned so much. Is there anything of those items that we pruned previously that might come back that we should address, to maybe add back where we before decided no, because we're really watching the budget? Is there things that may, I mean, I'm not all for spending all the money, I like to sit on it, but were there things that we cut out that might be important items to consider having come back in?
Well, I haven't met with the other administrators yet to share that, you know, with this budget being approved, there would be additional monies for additional educational programs, opportunities, supplies, materials, whatever that could be added in at the building level. So I would say that, you know, I would look back to the building administrators to say, you know, what is the highest need for you, you know, and start to go through your lists that way of things that maybe had been pruned back, but.
And then you would present that to us as priorities.
Yep.
You know, what sticks out to me, I think, if I recall, is we made some significant technology purchases that we had postponed.
Yep.
Because we could this year. That's one example of something that I think we had cut significantly last year.
Yeah, we got the servers, we got 2 new servers, so we're, I won't say safety, but they were at the end, basically the end of their life cycle, and we were able to get them replaced and avoid any major hassles. We have Chromebooks, the technology that we need for state testing, and a great deal of the Chromebooks that we had aren't capable of doing the state testing anymore. They're still usable for internet and projects of that nature, but we can't use them to test, and with that agreement, that purchase that was made, we're able to make sure that we have testing needs taken care of. So there are a lot of good things that you have already done that are already included in this budget, and we're still in great shape.
I think just to put things in perspective, I mean, you know, last year we made upwards of $350,000 in cuts, right? We asked the community to help us out with the recurring referendum. So we were able to fill those holes, and this should be our most comfortable year.
Should be.
Financially, right? Because as expenses continue to go up and our revenues stay the same, you know, and plus we just had a new budget that increased per pupil, and
I agree. The only thing
that's going to happen.
The only thing that scares me is if they run into a pile of problems here with this renovation.
Well, I think that's a separate budget completely. I'm talking about the operational budget.
Oh, okay, operational.
You know what I mean? Where Mitch is saying.
That is, you're right.
He's feeling good about the year going forward as far as being able to everything covered. And I would think we should feel that way now.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
That's good.
The community helped us out.
I was thankful they did.
Yeah. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget.
I move that we approve the 2019-2020 budget.
I'll second that.
I will be voting against the budget. I believe that the increase in salaries and benefits is way outpacing what we can afford. And Dr. Dunn, you hit the nail on the head. We're going to give out over $400,000 in salaries and benefit increases. What will happen next year and the year after?
Right. It's going to be harder to make those kind of decisions moving forward, no doubt.
That does bring up a question. Is that based on the same number of employees match this budget compared to the last budget? full-time,
No, we added 2 special education staff that were newly created. So,
We lost a 60% special education teacher, but added 2 special ed aides,
and added 2 teachers.
and added 2 teachers.
2 full-time teachers.
Yeah, the middle school and elementary.
Correct.
We're paying for some of that through the flow.
The assistants we are. But it's, I mean, it's still, there's more staff this year in the buildings than there, or in the district than there were last year.
So
So salaries will be a higher cost.
you're thinking 2 full-time salary positions then, Mitch, over and above
Yes.
last year?
Well, 3. You have a full-time high school principal now, too.
I think that was in the budget though, wasn't it? Originally, in the 18-19 budget?
It was,
It had to be. Because that didn't happen until halfway through the season, halfway through the school year.
that budget was, that went towards filling the gap. We didn't fill that dollar amount for the superintendent and the high school principal. So there was some budget
You bring up a good point. It would be nice to see the actual salary increases and then staff added as a separate line item going forward.
If I remember right, Mitch, Angie, we reduced the special ed assistant number and hired 2 special ed teachers?
We ended up reducing by 2 assistants to hire 2 teachers, but then we also added an assistant back at the beginning of this year due to a student who moved in. So, you know,
Right.
Yes, but it doesn't really equate the same.
Right. Right.
Aren't some of these positions state mandated where you have to have these individuals?
Right, so if you have a student that needs
So,
one-on-one, you
yeah.
have to hire that.
So in a sense, I understand the numbers game, but then the other thing is how do you control what the state mandates about what you have to have?
But you know, the question was just, do we have new staff? And if I told you the number of teachers and the number of assistants I had last year, it's not the same as the number of teachers and assistants that we have this year.
And that's some of the reason we looked at the open enrollment kids, because we were concerned about
where those students were to hit, yes.
Yeah.
We also got to have an increase in what's called transfer of services.
Yeah.
So if a pupil comes in and requires a one-on-one aid, we are able to submit a claim for some of those monies, and will be offset in the year's time, so.
So this is the final approval, Mitch, and then this levy has to be certified at the end of the month, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So then we would have the final numbers from the DPI tomorrow, so that'll all be impacted, so we'll know exactly what that mill rate will be, what the levy will be.
Any other comments? Let's go with a question, please.
Okay. Dahl?
Yes.
Dunn? Yes. Lindsay?
Yes.
Steffes?
No.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes.
Basting?
Yes.
Passes 6-1.
Okay, we're going to move on to approval of land purchase.
This is something that has been tabled. You'd asked HSR to come back and give some suggestions as to how that green space might be used if it were to be purchased. I don't know if there are any other questions that anyone has. We have tried to investigate to the best of our ability the mine shaft, where the mine shaft goes. It is an interesting component in that particular lot. Again, I see Chase here. Chase's uncle, who owned the property and informed me that it runs north from that, underneath the football field, underneath the middle school, in that direction. Candy Kyler and Richard Josh, who live on the other side of me, Candy said when they bought the house, person they bought their house from said that it actually splits off and there's a shaft or a path that heads down towards 5th Street. Mineral Point maps, historical, tells you here's where the mine shaft is located. We have reached out to the mining museum and they can tell you here's where the mine shaft opening is located. Nobody has a map that says what direction the mine shaft goes once it drops down. They don't know if it's east, north, south, west. They don't know or don't have records of that information. So I don't know what else to do except to say that I am not volunteering to go down with a light and figure out where it goes. I'll pass on that opportunity. But that, you know, Chase, you and Nate, you guys open it up and look. I don't know if there was, if you could tell even just from your viewpoint, if there's any degradation to the shaft itself, is there any crumbling or?
I was doing all I could to keep Nate from crying down there.
For as old as it is, I mean, the sidewalls are still standing about 10 foot down, you can see bedrock. So, we know what bedrock is very hard, it's continuous, you know, it runs everywhere, so. I don't know, have you done anything with it since, Chase?
No.
I know Roger found the site borings when they looked at that particular piece of property. You know, and it's typical anywhere. 6 feet down and then it was bedrock, 16 feet down was bedrock, and they only did, I want to say there was only 4 or 5 borings in that area, but it was basically in that 4-acre plot is where they had done their borings to see, you know, is it stable enough to build a high school. I imagine, looking at those plans and the footprint, it was going to be a multi-story building, similar to the old high school, I think, because it wasn't a very big footprint at that time, so God bless Roger for coming through and having all the old records too.
Could you just bring me up to speed? I don't even know, as far as when you talk mine shaft, is this on the school grounds or is this on the ground you're looking to purchase?
It's on the grounds, one of the lots that Chase owns that the school was looking at purchasing. It's basically.
Do you have the HSR presentation?
You don't need this, remember?
Yeah.
Right behind his house.
Yeah, you know,
Isn't it?
yeah, it is.
And the need for this land is?
Possible expansion of the green space, like they said, because we're kind of eliminating between the playground and the blacktop.
Okay.
Some of that green space.
God doesn't do a very good job.
Well, we can kind of have this whole discussion, but my thoughts is we just kind of locked ourselves into the elementary school for what, 50 more years?
There's the 3 lots, Dennis, you know,
So the old football field, current baseball field is in this location, just up above this. This is lot number 3. So that mine shaft is kind of right in this location. And it's got a concrete cap on it. At one time, Bob had horses back there, so there was a wooden fence around it. I think the fence is maybe in a little disrepair now, but that's the entrance to that mine shaft. So they were looking at, with a change in the parking lot, losing some green space. The thought was, do we wish to purchase some additional green space that is currently connected to the elementary property?
We're talking about one lot now?
Well, it could be 1 lot, could be 2 lots is the most at any one of the meetings that, conversations that you had had as a board.
What is drawn out there, Mitch, do you know, in the second lot, on the lower side of the second lot, left of the blue line?
That's
Right.
a topographical map there.
What is this?
No, it's
The little,
yeah, right there.
This?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you.
Isn't that a topographical map?
Might be
And
the
that's
top, that's the top of the hill. I think.
top of the hill there.
All right. But the question is do we need it?
Well, I think we absolutely do, because what we're trying to do is make the best of a poor site. Really, I think we absolutely do need these 3 lots. Because we do this renovation, elementary's gonna be there for the next 50 years. I just think we have to have it. That's my view.
All right. The hard surface where the pea gravel is that going to take the place of the blacktop that we're losing?
He said it'd take a lot of fill, remember? And it.
No, the pea gravel, the old playground.
Oh, there on the back. Oh, I don't know what they're talking about doing that.
Yeah, well, that was a meeting with.
That would be an opportunity for us to put, some basketball hoops up with some
Yeah.
4 square play spots. That was one of the thoughts about being able to move that hard space up there by the building.
Could you just put the satellite view up there, Mitch, of the elementary school?
So Ed, can you just flesh out your argument a little bit? So,
Sure, yeah, well.
You want extra land just as kind of a green space buffer for the school? Or
Absolutely.
Or as a contingency for?
Yeah, I've never been shy to say that I think this is a mistake to be renovating this elementary school, but the voters have spoken. And trying to make the best of this poor site, it would really help us have that additional land. I mean, like soccer field, playground, make a better entryway. I did read in one of Mitch's notes here that we can do something now with Savannah Oak without it costing us. So perhaps that could be factored into this and maybe we only buy 1 lot or so. But I think we need that additional space. I really do, because we don't have, we haven't addressed some of the original problems with this design. Parking, they're talking about water runoff. I know it's going to be tremendous. We don't have visitor parking, staff parking, event parking. Bus route, things that were originally part of the problem with this site. I think adding that additional land would give us some flexibility, I really do. So.
On this map, Gary, where these trees are located, that's where that mine cap is right there. Here's the pea gravel area that we would look
I guess
at.
my question for the board is, when this first came out, when you guys first come up with this referendum project, was the thought to purchase land, was it even considered then?
We did not know that this land was for sale, essentially, because when did I contact you, Chase? It was well after both referendums and everything that went on there.
And I guess to feed off Mr. Lindsay's point that it's a poor site, I agree it's a poor site, but I don't think we need to be spending more money just to offset or make this a better site, and that's just my opinion. I think the public was given a referendum. Everybody knew what we were voting on. Whether I liked it or don't like it doesn't make a bit of difference here. I just don't think this is necessary, and that's my opinion.
But it wouldn't be bought with the referendum dollars.
I understand that.
Okay.
Mitch, do you remember how much playground square footage are we losing with the change to the parking?
The square footage of this blacktop area is just slightly under the square footage of this 1 lot.
Okay. And we are losing the entire parking lot, correct?
Right.
Okay.
As far as play space?
Correct.
Right.
Play space.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's another situation. Say we purchase this land from Chase, and 5 years down the road, we want to sell it for twice what Chase sold it to us. Sorry, Chase. But that would be an option, because land goes up in value generally, Larry, Doc, Gary?
I'm not gonna say it goes down.
That's for sure. Nowadays, who knows?
And then there was also something that, I forget who it was, brought to my attention, that about the easement. Are you familiar with that?
On the north side, or sorry, the west side
Well,
of
it
this?
cuts right through our playground, essentially.
Yeah, yes.
Is there an alleyway easement there?
When Bob Ivy owned this piece of land. He had the right of way to come through, basically, right in this area. There is a gate in the fence down here that he could use to access if need be. Now, he was able to just come down his driveway, so I don't know that he ever did, but that was an arrangement made.
Is it is it registered at the county, done legally? Because we just had an incident where somebody thought they had an easement too, and turns out it was never actually recorded.
That I would have to double check on, but.
Right, and certainly, we would, I think we would know that by now, if that were the case. Okay. I don't support purchasing this land. However, I was in a conversation with another individual over the weekend, and they were telling me, if it's so important to the school, if there's support to buy this land for the school, have that group of people create an association, purchase the land, gift it to the school, or take care of it, maintain the land, because it's one thing buying the land, as we approved with the Oak Savannah, taking care of the land is another whole situation, and we don't want to overtax our custodial staff. We create an association, have them buy the land, and they can do whatever they want with it and let the school use it. I think I thought that was a great idea. It was a good compromise.
Mitch?
Yep.
What are, if we don't buy the land, what would be the, I guess, plan B for the lack of hard space to play on? Or green space, however you want to say it.
One of the conversations recently was, you have the Oak Savannah, and it was a 10-year agreement. I think I shared with board members, it was a 10-year agreement that we couldn't sell off anything, we couldn't change anything without having to pay back grant monies prorated. Now this is, I'm not sure how old this picture is. I find it hard to believe that it's actually 2019 as it says here, because there's basically 2 dead trees here. There is the current fence that separates the current playground from the Oak Savannah, and this is a pretty steep incline. So the thought was, as they start doing the excavations on the north side, I believe the city's got more projects that they'll be doing, we could, in essence, take a line from this fence post over to this fence post and backfill this area with the hope of creating additional green space in that area. The parking lot driveway, I believe, will be down in this direction a little bit more. I don't know that it would have an impact on any of the current structures that are there, but would then, you know, kind of be in this area, would not have that corner there, but would basically be in this direction, so we would be able to gain some more green space.
Do we know, Mitch, what it would cost to backfill the at Savannah?
Well, from our own material, it would be nothing. The city has used back here behind the high school for a lot of their projects, you know, and that has not cost us anything. And basically, we've topped it off with soil and put grass seed down. And again, as Tim alluded to, the type of fill that would go in. If you're doing those kinds of things, it's not something you would come back and put a structure on, but if you cover it with topsoil and grass seed, there'll be some settling, but it would meet most of those needs.
But Plan A is to pave that pea gravel spot right there.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And make that the new hard space?
Yes, it would be some additional hard space area right here.
Okay. And then would there still be accommodations for kind of the littler kids, because that's where they like to play, I think? Is that kind of smaller age appropriate space?
That's where the smaller age equipment is.
Right.
What I would love to do is to be able to say to them, let's look at some new pieces and add that
Down there,
down in this other area
yeah.
where we have playground, equipment and materials already and add to that.
Mm-hmm.
I would, one of the more popular, it's recess, I know it's not, it is what it is, everyone has an opinion on it, but football, soccer are very commonly played and.
On that hard space.
Hard space, green space, I mean, it just travels everywhere, and I mean, they're playing on top of each other already.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're reminding kids to, oh, soccer, football over here, and it's just.
How much is the baseball diamond used, or is it allowed to be used as play space?
We don't use it a lot.
So kickball games sometimes.
It's a supervision issue because it's two places to be supervising at one time.
So we really can't.
But there are many days where the only space at recess we can use is the hard space with weather. And if the only hard space is that pea gravel area, then blacktop,
Right.
that's great, that'd be really cool up there. But for the grade levels at lunch recess, that's 180 kids-ish on that little triangle.
That's not
If
enough
it's a
space.
rainy, wet day.
How many staff currently supervise the lower level with the parking lot, hard space, and the tire playground?
It just depends how many kids are out there, anywhere from 3 to 5.
Staff?
Yep,
Okay, so now that parking lot player is gonna be gone,
correct.
right? So you could transfer supervisory staff up to the top by the baseball diamond, correct? And you can use the football field as a soccer field,
If they.
you can use kickball on the ball diamond,
Potentially.
correct?
Well, during baseball season, they'll be doing that field by
Yeah,
10, 11
they,
o'clock.
I think you better be careful with that because they've been put a lot of money into it, the boosters did specifically for
Well, that's what I need to
baseball.
hear from you, Vic, if that's
Yeah.
gonna be allowable for any play space.
So,
I mean, at least the grass would be usable, right? No?
Well, you would think so. It's ours.
I mean, softball doesn't even use it, so I mean, we can't, I mean, that's a huge space.
Huge space, it's a little farther.
And, I mean, we're looking at buying a lot that we can't even really convert into play space with
well, if
referendum
you,
money.
right, but if you're saying that's yours, but you're not putting any money in to maintain it, it's been all boosters using money to maintain it. If you're gonna use it, then you're gonna have money to make sure it's maintained and the way it was before all the kids are running on it.
Right.
Because they put a lot of money and a lot of volunteer time.
She's talking about the baseball.
Right.
Okay, so
No doubt.
just so I'm clear, the boosters are maintaining the old football field right now, not the school, correct?
They're maintaining the old baseball.
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 Baseball, not the
Yes.
football field.
Our
Yeah.
custodial crew mow and will line the field. But any upgrades that have been done on that baseball diamond has been by the boosters and volunteers.
Yeah.
Example of upgrades, Vicki, I'm just curious.
This light
They use the
pole,
football field.
this light pole is basically.
Well, I mean, the sand, I'm talking about lots of kids would use, Mitch, not a light pole.
They
Were you asking whether the upgrades that the boosters have done?
To the sand area with the diamond itself.
One of the things that they did was they paid for a brand new light pole to be moved from this location to outside. So the boosters bought the light pole, had it moved, had it wired. They
But
have,
elementary age kids will not hurt that light pole.
no, but it's money that the boosters have put towards that.
And I'm not arguing that point.
Then in the infield, they basically, for lack of a better term, just skinned it. They leveled it out. They have cleaned it up. They have brought in new surface, play surface to be used. They have clay that they'll end up building the pitcher's mound back up again, and what's called top dress. They have paid for sod. It's great to see the old MP spot still there that you can see from the satellite. They filled that in and then sloped this land and purchased the sod to put the grass back down so it is playable for them next year.
Yeah, they spent the money on the diamond, really, they maintained it.
Yeah, on the infield area.
So we cannot, so it's not, theoretically, it's unusable to us then? I mean,
We're running the risk of losing the boosters maintaining the.
Well, we would just
I
need to
don't
be,
understand.
I think the school district would need to be responsible to maintain it or put it back the way it was.
As we would be if we bought the 3 lots too. I guess
Correct,
there's
correct.
maintenance costs.
Or like the softball field, help me out, Vicki, I mean, the city maintains the softball field to a condition that's usable for our softball team, because it's city land, right? So I think we would need to devote funds and resources, which would be taxing on Roger and his team potentially to get it ready for the baseball season.
I think the other piece would be, there might be times when, if it's a good weather day, it might be 8 o'clock in the morning when they go down, drag it, line it, get it ready.
Right.
And then if you've got all day long where the recess out there playing kickball on the diamond after it's ready for a game, then it would be, they'd have to go back and make sure it's game ready again. I think that was probably one of the points that was trying to be.
How much land is being discussed, say just the top lot, how much land is that?
Just under an acre piece, aren't they?
And then clearly, obviously, Roger, someone on staff will be in charge of maintaining that, obviously.
Yeah, we would be responsible for mowing it, maintaining it, yes. Matt, you wanted to add?
We are losing playground space, so if you're gonna vote against buying the additional land, then it'd be very helpful to then have a plan B then of where you're gonna gain that space back. I don't know, as Vicki mentioned, I don't know if, the ball diamond is ours. Having 180 kids on there every day, digging holes, just what little kids do, I don't think that's gonna be.
Right, that can't be a free.
I understand you, but I'm looking at this from the point, we passed a referendum using the land that we had. Nowhere in that referendum to say we're gonna be purchasing additional land. We were gonna use the land we had available at the time. And I don't wanna be, I shouldn't say forced, but I don't want people saying, well, I think we should have, I don't feel it's necessary. We have to go with what we had in front of us last November.
Okay, we did get the cart before the horse here. Does somebody want to make a motion? Normally we have a motion before we go into discussion.
I'll make a motion to purchase 2 of the 3 lots, lot 2 and 3. From Chase Aggie.
Do we have a second to that?
At what price? Can we declare that?
Actually, I don't know.
Mitch, can we declare the price of the lots?
There, I believe the agreed upon was $30,000. Does that sound right, Chase? $30,000 for each lot was $30,000.
And where would what fund does this money come from?
46.
We have monies in Fund 46, and one of the things that we can do with Fund 46 is purchase land.
Okay.
So lot 3 is this northernmost, it kind of encompasses this tree.
Okay.
And lot 2, so basically, it's like we would be buying about 2/3 of this piece back here.
So roughly 2 acres.
Pretty close to 2 acres.
I don't know if I could add that, but I'd make a contingent on, Chase filling in the shaft and possibly, maybe grubbing some trees out with their equipment.
Cap on it.
Possibly. What's that?
Cap on it. Putting the cap back.
Filling it with the proper fill that Chase and I discussed in our opinions, and then capping it back off.
Okay, we have a motion. Does anybody want care to second?
Well, I'll second.
Okay. So let's continue with discussion.
Discussion-wise, I understand that we were supposed to do what we are supposed to do with what we have, but this is an opportunity that's come up, and I sure hate to not take this opportunity, because playground space is really important to kids. And the hard surface space, what we're all forgetting is in the wintertime, that's plowed off, and they go out and play on that. They put on their snowsuits, they go out and play. If you lose that hard surface space that is parking lot, they've got nowhere to go. They really do enjoy that time outside, whether it's raining, snowing, or sunny day.
And in all reality, on the Doc's point, if that whole blacktop area gets extended into a parking lot, there we have more event parking, because we're tripling the size of our gym. There's going to be games in there. We're going to need places to park. The little parking lot that they just showed us isn't enough, in my opinion. we were to take that, fill in the Oak Savannah. Am I out of time? Okay.
No, the Packers are behind, that's what that's.
So that is my thoughts. And again, like I stated before to the people that own a lot of land in this room, if you had a chunk of land that you were able to purchase that joined your land for a fair amount, you would purchase it.
The public should never be in the business of buying land because A, you take it off the tax roll. So when you buy this land, it's going to take whatever Chase is paying in property taxes off the tax roll. You know,
I think this is how I'm looking at it. I think we should look at it separate from the referendum project. You know, just to Gary's point, I mean, not only are we limited in what we can do with referendum money on that land, I think that, you know, as HSR alluded to, doing something with that land is not in the referendum budget. You know, it's not budgeted to do anything. You know, they showed some pictures of, you know, that outdoor classroom, that kind of slide, that topography playground, play space, a lot of neat ideas. We had no cost estimates on that, and we could certainly plan for that years down the road, but we would have to find, you know, money to pay for that or raise money, you know, to pay for that. So in my mind, the question is not, do we do this because of the referendum, but separate from the referendum, do we do this in order to have more green space around the school campus, and have it either as a contingency for whatever needs come up in the future, or as an investment, because we're getting a good deal from a community member that supports the district. That's how I'm looking at it.
That's, yeah, aside from the referendum, I agree.
Because the truth is, if we buy this land, we're not going to do anything with it, I don't think, for a while.
No, it would be.
We don't have any funds for it.
Yes, unless it was community driven, you know, something that, you know, we could make that work, because we do have people with equipment to somewhat help us out there, especially to get things rolling, so.
Any other comments? Let's call the question, please.
Chambers.
Yes.
Dahl.
No.
Dunn.
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yes.
Steffes.
No.
Sullivan.
No.
Bastian.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3.
Okay, we're going to move on. Employee services, we will pick up after the closed session, both 1 and 2. So we're going to move into the credit card statement activity and bills payable.
So on credit card, I move that we approve the credit card statement and approval of bills.
I'll second.
Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to point out was the rewards are getting kind of up there again, the 117,000 points and
Yep.
time to cash in awards.
I did talk to Marcia about that, and she was kind of looking at when we did it last year.
Yeah, I remember
Try to
that.
kind of try to time it up again, but I will
okay.
certainly
Yeah.
pass that along.
Time to cash in.
I only had a comment about electric. Why are we using somebody out of the district, somebody out of the force? It's only $273.
You don't want to page you on that. It's a good question. I don't know how I'm looking at why we answer.
Okay, is there any questions? Comments?
Just point of order, since you guys bought them 2 lots, enter into negotiations with Chase and see if we can get access off that easement, off the 3rd lot.
Definitely. Yeah, because the new easement runs at the bottom and up,
Right.
right behind the houses.
Probably costing more money.
Actually, let me grab it, this is matched up. We'll look into it. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, we'll call the question, please.
Dahl?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Stefas?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes.
Basting?
Abstain. Okay, can we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Chambers?
Can we just announce what we're gonna go into closed session for?
Yeah, I think time to do the rest.
We have a maybe 5 minutes.
Well, I had it. Saw it empty.
Everybody's voting yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Angela called me and she wanted it, and I told her to get it